Okay. Got all that out. I know. I just love talking about Reagan. I cannot help myself. It's awful. Joining me now is the great Charlie Hurt, the aforementioned great Charlie Hurt, who was co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, and the great Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump and Fox News contributor. You couldn't get two better people. Just a quick word. I don't want to. We're going to have James Freeman come on, but Kellyanne, you know, Reagan's tax cuts were they were revolutionary. The economy at home, the morale and happiness of people who succeeded, and also our international strength abroad. It was those tax cuts that basically knocked the Soviet communism out. They couldn't match us resources. I mean, you know, every now and then I sort of suggest to some of our Republican friends that they do something similar today. Try it again. It works.
Security is always stock and trade to the voters, Larry. You're correct. And look, we have to finish the sentence. Those tax cuts allowed today's youth, parents, grandparents to own their own home, to have one or two people working in the household, to afford to send their children to college if they chose to support the military, to believe in the other parts of the Reagan coalition, the three-legged stool, the social issues, the economic issues, the strength through peace issues. But when you're joyful because you're prosperous and you have opportunities and not obstacles put there by the government, then we can tell these young people, don't be afraid to get married, to have children, to want to own a home, to want to own a business. Young people are afraid right now, and we have to tell them that it's not just that things were less expensive for their parents and grandparents, that things were more affordable because of those tax cuts, because of the fewer regulations, because of less government control over our goods and services. Larry, James Freeman's piece today was excellent, but so was Alicia Finley's earlier in the week when she talked about how a lot of Republicans have led to this democratic socialist moment by giving too much money and too little authority to the Democrats in the states. But I want to say this. The new Reuters Ipsos poll was important. You had her on? Yes.
We had Alicia on, and we walked through it, and she's right. But I really like the word joyful, your word joyful. I want to put joyful in the riff when we publish that, Charlie, because joyful is, you know what it was? If you're succeeding, I mean, it's a monetary thing, but it becomes a morale-boosting happiness thing. Life is easier, and so it's just more pleasant, and the country's humming. You know, you're like, you're winning. Yeah. You're winning. Where have we heard that before?
As you know, Larry, I'm not a math guy, but I'm a politics guy. Yes. And my understanding of what brought the Soviet Union to its knees was the Walkman, Coca-Cola, and Levi jeans. Yes. And what do all those things represent? Prosperity, joyfulness, people enjoying
prosperity,
life, freedom.
Another great word.
Yeah, and that's what and people inside the Soviet Union saw that, and they were like, no, I want that. I want to be like those people. Yeah. I want a piece of that. It's amazing to listen to you go through that riff and talk about Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan. Can you imagine Democrats and Republicans come together on an economic program and actually coming up with something that winds up, you cut taxes, but then you bring in more revenue.
Yes.
And so if you're a big government Democrat, why aren't you in favor of bringing in more revenue? And because it's what Kellyanne said, it has nothing to do with that. What they care about is control. They don't want just more money in their coffers. They want to control the hell out of people's existence in this country.
Yes, well, that we don't want. But Kellyanne's words, you're right. And prosperity. I like the word prosperity. I like the word
growthy.
Joyful.
You like growthy.
Growthier was another great word. By the way, we had one of our Sealingham Terrier dogs was called Joyful a few years ago. My saintly wife and I just thought I'd throw that in. It is Friday. We can have a little bit of fun. But Kellyanne, all is not that much fun in Washington, D.C. right now. And I had a couple of mundane things for the two of you to maybe chew on. Mr. Thune doesn't have the votes to get a big reconciliation bill through. He doesn't have the votes to end the filibuster. I'm not so sure I want to end the filibuster, but anyway, the president wants the filibuster. So there's a little knocking of knees going on between Mr. Trump and Mr. Thune. We don't have a tax cut reconciliation bill, that's for sure. We do have voting rights, and we do have the voter ID, which is popular, and perhaps military spending also. But how's this going to play out? You know, I mean, the GOP needs a message. They got one more week before they go out on vacation. What's going to happen, Kellyanne?
Well, I think the message is easy. It's that things in this country were really bad, very unhopeful, very unjoyful, no prosperity, no opportunity, high taxes, high regulations, high rates. And then President Trump came in for a second term to make it all better and continues to. And if you go the other way, it's going to get worse again. These things have a boomerang effect. I think also, Larry, it is important for all of us to take Democratic Socialists of America seriously, mainly because the Reuters Ipsos poll just this week showed that 20% say that they have no idea what the ideas are. Half said that they're not really sure what the Democratic Socialists of America want, and 51% said that they have few or no good ideas. But they want it that way. They want young people to just fill in the blanks with whatever, I'm whatever you want me to be. I'm going to rage against the machine. And I wanted to point out, Kamala Harris this week said, pack the court, statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico, and the stupidest one of all for her, get rid of the Electoral College. Lady, if you got rid of the Electoral College, you lost the popular vote to Donald Trump nationwide and in all 7 swing states. So it would have been even worse for you. But we need to take it seriously, and I think I have faith in President Trump and Leader Thune to get this done together and maybe to have a clean CR. That's important, to make sure we have that military spending and honestly to find those votes for the Save America Act. The president is right. That should be the easiest thing of all, the Save America Act.
Well, all right. No, that's a good optimistic cap on. I appreciate it. Now, Charlie, on the other side, you've got the new, whatever, Socialist Communist Democratic Party, which is Newt Gingrich is coming on in a few moments. Big government socialism and very weird values. Okay, that's how he explains it. They love to talk about transgenderism and Palestine and, you know, wiping your dirty hands with the American flag. Now, the election this week in Michigan, Haley Stevens is the regular Democrat, and El Sayed is the Socialist Communist Democrat. How do you see that? This almost like a Sister Souljah moment, but I don't think it's going to work out, and I think he's going to win.
Yeah, I think.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
No. I mean, I still would sort of give the advantage to Haley Stevens, just because the degree to which the establishment has gone all in for her is significant. Polls have been sort of back and forth, but I do think that, you know, if it goes the way it's gone in every single one of these primaries, then he's going to win and she's going to lose. The thing I think is really interesting about this, Larry, is that this could not have happened to better people. Democrat leadership, going back to Obama and before, they have allowed this cancer to metastasize in their party. They have completely run off with the circus, and they absolutely don't care. They will support anybody that they have to support in order to remain popular or remain in control of the party or whatever. The only people who are trying to protect the Democrat Party today, except in certain pockets where you have the establishment waking up trying to protect, are people like you and me and Kellyanne, who've been fighting Democrats forever. We don't want the Democrat Party to be destroyed by these lunatics. We don't want, you know, it's easier to beat the lunatic DSA Democrat Party for Republicans, but I still don't want a communist party, major party in our country, to be the communists. It's really that bad.
Well, you know, if they insist on destroying themselves, you know, I don't think I want to get in the way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess, but I don't think you really mean that. I don't think you really want your old Democrat Party to be run by full-blown communists.
I started this gig as a Democrat. I was a Pat Moynihan Democrat, as a matter of fact. Anyway,
Pat Moynihan would be horrified.
Horrified. Kellyanne, you're the best. Joyful Kellyanne Conway out there in Washington, D.C. Charlie Hurt, good luck on your weekend shows.
Thanks, sir.
We appreciate it. You can catch Charlie on Fox and Friends Weekend, along with co-host Griff Jenkins, Rachel Campos Duffy,